Hey YouTube, it's TeamMinoritySPG back with the little update to the video I did yesterday about set rotation. A lot of you had some complaints about it. I did expect a lot of complaints anyways, but I just wanted to address some of those today, and hopefully you guys will see what I mean, that set rotation can definitely work in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, it's not... It's like I said earlier, it's not going to work without other changes. You can't just put set rotation in and expect it to work. You have to make other changes. The number one thing for me is creating an Eternal format that I proposed yesterday, Pharaoh format, that would allow you to play all the older cards too. Alright, so that way your cards don't go to waste and they won't lose value. Alright, so here are some of the common complaints that I got yesterday. You're bringing Magic to Yu-Gi-Oh! Stop. Alright. Magic is not the only game that does set rotation. Set rotation is a very basic mechanic for card game design. Alright. Card game companies do it for a couple of reasons. The main one is to curb power creep. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has so many old cards, and the thing is, when a new set comes out, there's a potential for any of these new cards to be completely broken with some of the old cards. That's, alright, but the problem is, when you want to introduce a new set, you have to make that new set more powerful than the previous set for people to keep buying these cards. Alright, there's no point in a card company to keep making decks that aren't better than the previous decks, unless they don't want their company to sell cards, and that's just dumb. Alright, so you do rotation so that you can just keep those cards, you can just make decks that aren't completely unbalanced. You don't want cards getting too crazy so that people don't enjoy the game anymore, and I think that's the problem with Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now. We've all been in a situation where we didn't even draw our 6th card, but we had already lost the game. And I'm talking stuff like Xian backed by multiple set cards, Lagia set 4, Shockmaster set some cards. We've all been in those kinds of situations, and it really seems like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is moving towards, or it already has moved towards that, but it's going to continue doing that, or it's doing things where you can just go balls to the walls turn 1, and if your opponent doesn't have anything, you won, or you just set protection and you win. So that's the main reason to do set rotation. It's also to keep cards from, keep the game from stagnating. If a certain deck is really good over a long period of time, that's fine. I don't really have a problem with that. But if people keep playing that deck, and that's like a huge portion of the meta, people are going to get pretty bored. You're not going to go to the same tournament where you play, I'm going to play this one deck, so many times. It's not, it's a good deck, but I'm kind of bored of playing it, 4 rounds out of the 10 rounds I'm playing, and it's so old. I just want people to play something new. This is another reason. You want to rotate those cards out so that people don't get bored of the game. New ideas come in. It stays refreshed without having to become unbalanced. I can't play with my favorite deck anymore. Okay, so I understand that people want to play with their favorite deck. That's fine. The thing is, I said you're not going to have set rotation without a meaningful Eternal format. Okay, so this means that the current deck you are playing, you're still going to be able to play it. Now, it's in a different format. There's going to be more powerful cards over there probably, but that also means you're allowed to use more powerful cards in your favorite deck. All right, so I don't really see why people just don't understand. You're still going to be able to play your deck, your favorite deck, and you're probably going to be able to make it better too. So I don't really get it. I understand that you want to play in advanced format, what other people call standard format, but your deck isn't gone. It's still there, and it's probably even better than it used to be. All right, so I just don't really get this complaint. I can't combine old cards with new cards. Okay, again, you can still do this in Pharaoh format just fine. Your new cards will actually be even better. But what I did mention was that, again, you're going to have other changes with the game if you have set rotation. One of those changes is larger card sets. Now, with these larger card sets, a lot of these cards are going to be reprints. So when a new archetype comes out, obviously Konami would be reprinting older cards to support these new cards. The examples people were using yesterday were Deep Sea Diva, Genexun Dine for Mermaids. Okay, they would reprint these cards either in the new set or part of that structure deck that would still be legal for Advanced. Okay, so again, this is a complaint. I understand why people are complaining about this, but it can easily be avoided. You're still going to be able to use old cards and new cards. Now, you're not going to be able to use everything that you want, now, and that's probably going to be because they don't want a certain deck getting too powerful. You don't want it to combine with like all these old cards because then you don't want the deck becoming completely busted for Advanced. But if you want to use all the old cards, you have Pharaoh format for that too, because these new cards can still be used in Pharaoh format. And you know, obviously, some of these new cards will be good in that format, even though they're new. Sets are going to be designed such that some cards will be good in that format, better in Pharaoh than regular Advanced. I don't want to spend money on new cards every year. Alright, so here's the thing. Set rotation is already happening in Yu-Gi-Oh! Whether you realize it or not. Konami does it through two ways. They use the Forbidden and Limited list to ban and limit cards, you know, usually about a year or 2 years old, maybe even older, so that they can have their new product pushed. I think that is an absolutely disgusting way to use the Forbidden and Limited list. I think it's terrible in terms of game design. The other way they do it is by printing more powerful cards every set. Now, like I said earlier, this becomes a problem because the more powerful cards get, the more crazy the game gets. We're already at a point where we're losing the game before we draw our 6th card. Okay, we're at the point where we get OTK'd consistently turn 2, turn 3. We're at the point where our entire field is getting blown up, and we're losing slowly and slowly, but we're just not even really able to come back. So that's how set rotation is really happening right now. It's just not said set rotation. You know, it's not straight up pointed out to you like that, but it is already happening. You just need to kind of take a step back, look at it, and realize, yes, this is happening. Now, I know a lot of casual players don't want to spend spend money on new cards. I understand that. You can still be a casual player with set rotation. Tons of other games do that just fine. There are always going to be budget cards, budget decks that you can play, and then I said earlier, your favorite deck or whatever, it's not gone. It's still in Pharaoh format. You're still going to be able to play that. Pharaoh is actually going to be important for the competitive scene. How would tins, structure decks, promos, etc. work? Okay, not a complaint, but an inquiry. A good one, actually. So, structure decks are the easiest one to tackle. Obviously, it would work with Advanced. They're already supported by cards in the booster sets, and so that would work with Advanced. Now, structure decks are a very easy way for them to put old cards back into Advanced, reprint old cards. Okay, you're already trying to put support for this certain deck into the Advanced. Why not bring some of the older stuff into the structure deck so that it's legal for Advanced again? Very, very easy way to do it. And I imagine if they do set rotation, they would implement that because it would just be so easy and cheap to do for them. Tins, on the other hand, well, I would imagine that some tins are geared towards Advanced format and some are geared towards Pharaoh format. I think the tins would still have the current block of cards, of sets, but maybe the promos are for Pharaoh or the promos are for Advanced. You know, it just depends either way. It could be done very well. Some for Pharaoh, some for Advanced, works well. Very easy. Like for example, if Tour Guide had rotated out, it would be still a very expensive card in Pharaoh had it not been reprinted. So a reprint of that would have been very nice for Pharaoh players. Promos would work pretty much the same way. Some would work for Advanced, some would work for Pharaoh. I imagine in special edition promos, they would be mostly for Advanced, maybe something that's about a year old, 6 months old, that was kind of expensive, just to help Advanced be a little bit cheaper. It could still work very well. Now, Battle Pack, I would actually make Battle Pack kind of like the core set. So you can reprint a bunch of old cards and make new cards, and some new cards as well, and make that legal for Advanced format, and it gives us more of a card pool for us to use. Gold Series, I would probably make Gold Series like Pharaoh format, honestly. A lot of these old cards that you can use, and they're kind of expensive, just reprint them for Pharaoh. I think that would actually work pretty well. But obviously, all this stuff can be changed, but these are just some ideas of how I would probably do it. I know others out there would probably do it differently. That's fine. Just let me know what you would do. Okay, again, not really a complaint, but I like the idea, but I think it could be implemented better. Yeah, actually, I completely agree with this. I didn't really have a good plan towards doing it. So what I would suggest is not doing set rotation at first, but just go ahead and make the Pharaoh format with that separate forbidden list, okay? And I would make a YCS with that and let people, let the players know this is going to be important for competitive play. Go ahead and take it seriously, all right? So this way, people don't have to complain about the set rotation right now. They would play with the new format, hopefully have more fun, refresh the game a bit, let them feel like they're able to use their old cards with a completely different ban list, allow them to play with a little bit more powerful stuff, but, it pretty much any deck from the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh! Up until now, it would be a very wide open format, and I think that's what people would really enjoy. I know some people don't like very diverse formats because it makes side decking harder, but I don't know. I kind of like that idea that a format where people can just play with like a lot of their stuff, a lot of old cards that maybe used to be banned, limited or semi-limited, and now it's no longer not. It's either at 3 or at 0, and we can just go and have a YCS with that and have a lot of fun. So that's how I would implement it. I wouldn't put the set rotation first. I would do the Pharaoh format first, make a YCS out of it, and let people know this is going to be important for regionals, YCS, World Championship qualifiers, and even Worlds. Okay, so I'm going to give a quick recap of how Pharaoh format works. All cards since Legend of Blue Eyes are legal except forbidden cards. And Pharaoh format will be very important for competitive play. We're going to be using it at regionals, YCS, World Championship qualifiers, and Worlds. Honestly, I would not be creating a new format if it was not important. There's no point in making a new format if it's not going to be important for competitive play, because then it's just a waste of time and space for everybody. Okay, so you start off by making a YCS and tell people this is for real. Stick with it. Now, what about the forbidden list? A little bit different, and some of you guys had complaints about that. That's fine, but I just want to get my point across here again. Cards are either going to be forbidden or unlimited. I know that sounds very weird, but just stick with me here. No limited or semi-limited cards. The forbidden list is reevaluated 3 times a year for both advanced and Pharaoh formats. So basically, instead of twice a year, it's going to be done 3 times a year, every 4 months. Hopefully, that's enough to curb power creep and any sort of issues that may pop up. And of course, any changes can be made to this. Like if they need to emergency ban something, they could do that. I don't want like some stupid FTK popping out of nowhere and just like destroying people. So. And the thing is, with set rotation, you're really not going to need to use the ban list as much. Better card design comes through that. Now, why am I using the 3 or 0 format? So I'm a firm believer that cards are either too powerful or they're not. This allows for powerful cards to be used at a full set, the way they were meant to be, but completely overpowered, busted cards, those are gone. So a powerful card like Malicious is going to be at 3, but something crazy like Chaos Emperor Dragon, that's going to be banned. Malicious, I know it's a very powerful card, but it was meant to be played at 3, honestly, so I would put it at 3. If cards could be limited or semi-limited, we'd have a format very similar to what we have now. So like, why would we create a new format if it's just going to end up being the same through limits and semi-limits and bans like that? So, that's why I'm just getting rid of the whole 1-2 notion. Something completely different, something new, refreshing, something fun. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I hope I, explained any complaints that you had and hopefully, just got rid of those complaints for you. If you still do, or if you enjoyed this stuff, just leave a comment, hit the like button. If you didn't like it, hit the dislike button. That's fine. I don't really have a problem with that. Now, I'm going to post my Forbidden Monsters tomorrow, and then the day after that, I'm going to do my Forbidden Spells and Traps. Go ahead and make guesses as to which those are. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button, please subscribe, and Team Minority out.